we're going to do pizza today on the grill. A lot of what we're going to do is just the same as what you do if it was indoors. There's a couple of changes and I'll talk about them, but there's no reason to stop making homemade pizza just because it's 8,000 degrees outside. What's a pizza sauce? Well, the most important thing about what makes it a pizza sauce is it's got to be a little thicker, and there's a bunch of ways to do it. I always start with canned tomatoes. I don't start with sauce. Dump it in the food processor. See how it's basically big chunks and then liquid? That's not great on pizza. You can press that out and try to get it more uniform, but it's much easier if you just blend it till it's smooth. It's starting to boil, and you can see there's a lot of liquid. See all that liquid? I want that to boil off. You can do it on medium to high. Let's say about 10 minutes, and come back and see what it looks like it's going to be. Now that it's cooled down, it really is different than when I first put it through the food processor. It's much thicker now. It's ready to go. Don't get ordinary supermarket mozzarella. Get this kind of stuff packed in a little bit of water. In the book we talk about big chunks when you're in a 550 degree oven in the house. Since we're going to be outside on the grill and you don't get that kind of sudden heat, this is going to be a little bit of a slower process, and we need the cheese to melt quickly. Cut it into small cubes, maybe half or quarter-inch cubes. We're going to be having some Italian-style salami. Cut that really thin. If you're finding that the fat from this kind of meat is giving up too much liquid during the baking, you can render this a bit. Okay, we've got some peasant dough here. There's some whole grain in that. About a half a pound in there, and that's close enough. And now if you've got a little time before you're ready to roll it out, if you can get it into a ball and let it sit at room temperature for 40 minutes or even a half hour, you can cover it with something. It'll be much easier to get flat. So let's come back in about a half hour. If you have no time, get your rolling pin ready, and you're ready to go now. So we start with this ball. It's been relaxing. And first we dimple it with our fingers. It takes a while to get it to 1/8 of an inch thick, and that is our goal. For a half-pound piece, that means it's going to be about 12 inches across, and right now it's no more than 6 or 8. The other thing I sometimes do is I do throw it up in the air. So what you do is you get under it with your knuckles. You see that? Okay. And then what the gesture is, turn your hands, and at the very end, the top hand, the dominant hand, raise your fingers. So, this is the way. And it really does help a bit. It sort of gets it to relax. I don't know if you can see this, but you can see through it a little bit. After throwing it up in the air, it's relaxed a bit, and now the rolling pin is really effective. This really is now absolutely 12 inches. You can use a dough scraper to get under it, and just re-dust the other side. And this actually is ready to go. Put a little bit of flour on that pizza peel and then lay it out. And as you're working, you want to make sure that that is always moving. Now, what we're going to do is bake blind. So I preheated on high for about 5 to 10 minutes, but I'm going to lower it to medium. Okay, now just clean the grates off. These are stainless steel grates, which are much, much easier to deal with than the cast iron or the enameled, which eventually will corrode a bit and dough will stick to it. I think the stainless steel is much, much better. This particular grill has a burner here and a burner here. And I'm going to put my dough right across it. In the middle, it's not right on top, and I'm going to use that. I stretched it a bit with my hand. Now on medium, 3 minutes, it won't burn it, it won't fall through the grate. Okay, and you can see it puffed, which we're not looking for, so we're going to poke it with a sharp fork. And let's see what the bottom looks like. You want a little bit of lines. No lines at all. On that side we do. We're going to turn it around and give it a little bit more. That, by the way, was a perfect pita bread. Let's see if we have any lines on the bottom. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's turn it. As soon as you turn it, put your sauce on. You don't lay this on really thick. I'm going to put this on low because I don't want the bottom getting over brown while I do this. Cheese will not caramelize much because all the heat's coming from below. And I don't like to use too much cheese. This was about 3, maybe 4 ounces for this piece. So let's get the sausage on there too. Don't put it on too heavy. This has been rendered, but you can see the cheese is giving up some liquid. 3 minutes. If you smell something burning, move it off. Let's see what it looks like. It still hasn't started burning. This side's got a little bit. So I'm going to turn it around again. And I see some liquid collecting. So I'm just going to use a paper towel to dab up that extra liquid. That's mostly coming from the cheese, and it doesn't help the crust any, so I like to get rid of it. Okay, let's have a look. You'll get a little bit of charring like that, but don't be alarmed. I'll move it to here and shut off the front burner, and you can continue to bake it without burning it. A lot of that water has dried up. This looks really good. Okay, now get it on pizza peel. Okay, can you hear that crisp? Perfect crisp crust, not burnt. You hear that? Okay. See you next summer.